I told my ex's sister. "Stay here, storm's too bad," she said. "Only if I'm not taking the couch." The storm should have kept her away from my door. Instead, it brought her straight to me. It was almost midnight in Savannah, Georgia, and rain was beating against my windows so hard it sounded like someone was throwing handfuls of stones at the glass. I had just turned off the lamp in my living room when 3 sharp knocks hit the front door. I froze. Nobody came to my house that late. Not on my quiet street. Not during a storm strong enough to bend the oak trees over the road. For a second, I thought it was my neighbor needing help. Then I opened the door and saw Claire. Claire Morrison. My ex-girlfriend's younger sister. She stood on my porch in a soaked black dress, one broken heel in her hand, the other still on her foot. Rain ran down her face and neck. Her hair was stuck to her cheeks, and her makeup had smudged under her eyes. She looked cold, angry, and beautiful in a way that made my chest tight before my brain could stop it. "Claire," I said, like a fool. She gave me a tired smile. "Good. You remember me. I thought after Madison dumped you, the whole family might have erased me from your memory too." That was Claire. Freezing, drenched, probably in trouble, and still able to cut straight through a man. "My name is Ethan Cole. I was 35, a carpenter, and I lived alone in a small white house near the river. A year earlier, I had almost proposed to Madison Morrison. She was smart, polished, and perfect in the way a glass table is perfect. Pretty to look at, but cold when you lean on it too long. Madison wanted me to become a different man. Better clothes, better friends, better plans, better words at her father's dinner table. At first, I tried. I thought love meant meeting someone halfway, even if halfway kept moving farther from who I was. Then one night, she told me she was tired of waiting for me to become the man she needed. So I left before she could finish fixing me. But Claire had never looked at me like I needed fixing. That was the problem. Even when I was with Madison, there had been moments I should not have remembered. Claire laughing at my bad jokes in the kitchen while everyone else talked over me. Claire handing me a beer on her parents' back porch and saying, "You always look like you're bracing for impact in this house." Claire finding me outside during Madison's birthday party and sitting beside me without asking questions. I had stayed away from her after the breakup because I knew some doors were dangerous. And now she was standing at mine. "What happened?" I asked. "My car slid off River Road," she said. "It's not terrible, unless you count the front tire sitting in a ditch like it's given up on life." "You drove in the storm." I didn't plan a dramatic entrance. "Ethan." The weather added that part. I stepped back. Come inside. She hesitated at the doorway. Lightning flashed behind her, and for one breath, she looked like a secret the storm had carried to me. Claire, I said more gently, you're shaking. I'm not shaking. I'm furious. At who? She looked past me into the warm light of my living room. That list keeps getting longer. I took the broken heel from her hand and reached for her small overnight bag. Our fingers touched. Her skin was ice cold. She noticed me notice. Don't look at me like that, she said softly. Like what? Like you're about to be kind. I swallowed. Would that be so bad? Her eyes flicked to mine. Tonight. Maybe. I brought her inside and shut the door against the rain. The house felt smaller with her in it. Too warm. Too quiet. Too full of things I had spent a year not saying. I grabbed a towel from the laundry room and handed it to her. She wrapped it around her shoulders, then looked around my living room. My work boots were by the door. A half-built bookshelf leaned against the far wall. A coffee cup sat on the side table beside a stack of wood samples. She smiled a little. What? I asked. Nothing. Your house looks exactly like you. That sounds dangerous. It's not. It feels honest. That word settled between us. Honest. The storm growled outside, and the lights flickered once. Claire flinched before she could hide it. You can change in the guest room, I said. There are sweatpants and old shirts in the closet. They'll be too big, but dry. She looked down at her ruined dress. At this point, a potato sack would be an upgrade. Guest room is down the hall. She started to walk away, then stopped. Ethan. Yeah. I know I shouldn't have come here. I wanted to say yes. She should have called someone else. I wanted to sound smart and careful and safe. Instead, I said, I'm glad you did. Her face changed just slightly, like those words had reached some hidden place she was trying hard to protect. Then the power went out. The whole house went black. Claire made a small sound in the dark. Stay still, I said. There's a table near your knee. I remember, she said. You remember my table. I remember a lot of things I was supposed to forget. The rain filled the silence. I found a flashlight in the kitchen drawer and clicked it on. The light caught her face, soft and pale in the shadows. She looked tired now. Not sharp. Not joking. Just a woman standing in my hallway with too much pain behind her eyes. Go change, I said quietly. I'll check the roads. They're flooded, she said. You know that. I passed 2 closed streets, 1 fallen tree, and a man in a yellow raincoat yelling at the sky. Yes, I know that. I almost laughed, but her voice broke at the end. Were you coming from Madison, S? I asked. Her eyes lowered. That was enough answer. My ex's name sat in the room like cold air. She got engaged tonight, Claire said. I felt the words land, but not the way I expected. There was no heartbreak, no jealousy, just a quiet closing of a door I had stopped trying to open long ago. I'm sorry, I said. Claire shook her head. That's not why I left. What happened? She held the towel tighter around herself. I need dry clothes first. I nodded because I knew if I pushed too hard, she might break right there in my hallway. And the truth was, I needed a minute too. While she changed, I stood in the kitchen with a flashlight in one hand and my phone in the other. No service. Flood warning. Road closures. Wind strong enough to knock branches into the street. She was not leaving tonight, and I had no idea how to survive that. When Claire came back, she was wearing my gray sweatshirt and a pair of loose black sweatpants rolled at her ankles. The sweatshirt had my name from my old carpentry business faded across the chest. Seeing her in my clothes hit me harder than it should have. She saw it. Of course she saw it. You look worried, she said. I'm trying to make good choices. That sounds painful. You have no idea. She stepped into the kitchen and sat at the small table. Do you have tea? I have coffee, root beer, and hot chocolate my niece left here last Christmas. Hot chocolate, she said. Obviously. I warmed milk on the gas stove while she watched the rain slide down the dark window. A candle flickered between us, throwing gold light across her face. When I put the mug in front of her, she wrapped both hands around it. You always do that, she said. Do what? Make people feel safe without making a big show of it. I leaned against the counter. Careful, Claire. That sounded almost sincere. It was. She looked at me. Don't ruin it. We smiled, but hers faded first. What did Madison say? I asked. Claire stared into her mug. She made a toast. She said, "To love, loyalty, and second chances." Eh, That sounds like Madison. Eh, Then she looked right at me and said, "Some women only want what belongs to someone else." Eh, The room went quiet. I understood too fast. She meant me, I said. Claire did not answer. She did not have to. I kept my voice low. Did you? Eh, Her eyes lifted. Did I what? Eh, Want what belonged to someone else? Eh, For once, she had no sharp reply ready. No joke. No defense. No, she said. Something in my chest eased. Then she looked at me and added, I stayed away from what I wanted. Eh, The storm outside felt suddenly smaller than the one inside my kitchen. I stood very still. Every warning I had ever given myself came back at once. She was Madison's sister. Her family already had a gift for turning people into villains. Claire had just come from a fight. She was hurt. I was lonely. One wrong move could ruin everything good I still believed about myself. So I said the only safe thing I could say. Stay here tonight. Storm's too bad. You can take my room. I'll sleep on the couch. Eh, Claire set her mug down slowly. Then she looked straight at me, her eyes steady and unreadable. Only if I'm not taking the couch. Eh, I stared at Claire across my candlelit kitchen, like she had just thrown open every locked door in my chest. You're not taking the couch, I repeated. That is what I said. Eh, Claire. Eh, What? Eh, You know that is a dangerous thing to say to me. Eh, Her fingers tightened around the warm mug. But she did not look away. Maybe I'm tired of only saying safe things. Eh, The rain struck the windows harder, as if the storm had leaned closer to listen. I stood by the counter, trying to act like a grown man with self-control. But every part of me was aware of her. My sweatshirt on her shoulders, her bare feet on my kitchen floor, the soft candlelight on her face, the way she looked tired and brave at the same time. You just came from a fight with your sister, I said. I know. Eh, You drove through a storm. Eh, I know that too. Eh, You're upset. Eh, I'm not confused. Ethan. Eh, Her voice was quiet, but it cut straight through me. I looked down at my hands. They were rough from work, nicked from lumber and nails, steady when I held a saw, useless when she looked at me like that. I'm trying to be decent, I said. Claire gave a small laugh, but it had no real humor in it. You always were. That was part of the problem. What? I looked back at her. What does that mean? What? It means you kept acting like the right thing was to disappear. What? After Madison. It was. What? No, she said. After Madison. You vanished because it was easier than asking what was true. What? I felt that one deep. She stood from the table slowly. Not in a dramatic way. Just enough to make the small kitchen feel even smaller. I never crossed a line when you were with her. She said, I need you to know that. What? I do. What? No. Listen to me. Her eyes shone in the candlelight. I never flirted with you on purpose. I never tried to pull your attention from her. I never wanted to be that woman. What? I know. Claire. What? But I still felt guilty. Her voice cracked slightly. Every time you laughed at something I said. Every time you looked more relaxed with me than you ever looked at that dinner table. Every time I wished you would stop trying so hard for people who made you feel small. What? I could not move. She took one step closer. And tonight, she said. Madison stood there with a diamond ring on her finger and looked at me like I had stolen something from her. Something she threw away. What? I flinched at the words. Not because they were cruel, but because they were true. She didn't throw me away, I said, though even I did not fully believe it. Claire's face softened. Ethan. What? I hated how gentle she sounded. I turned toward the window, watching rain run down the glass in crooked lines. I loved her once. What? I know. What? I wanted it to work. What? I know that too. What? And I don't want to become the man who moves from one sister to the other like none of it matters. What? Behind me. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, that is not what this is. What? I faced her again. What is it then? What? For the first time since she walked into my house, Claire looked scared. Not of the storm. Not of Madison. Of the answer. I don't know what name to give it. She whispered, I just know I came here because when everything went ugly tonight, you were the only place in my mind that felt safe. What? That broke something in me. I crossed the kitchen before I could talk myself out of it. I stopped close enough to see the rain still clinging to the ends of her hair. Close enough to smell soap from my guest room and warm chocolate on her breath. Close enough that one wrong breath could turn into a kiss. Can I touch you? I asked. Her eyes lifted to mine. Yes. I raised my hand and cupped her cheek. That was all. Just my palm against her skin. But Claire closed her eyes like she had been waiting a long time to stop holding herself up alone. She leaned into my hand, and the small trust in that movement almost ruined me. I thought about you, I said before I could stop myself. Her eyes opened. I should have shut up. I did not. After the breakup. Before it too. If I'm being honest. I hated myself for that part. My thumb moved once along her cheek. I thought about the way you laughed. The way you saw things nobody else wanted to see. The way you made that house feel less like a test I was failing. Claire's lips parted. I thought you never noticed me. I noticed too much. Her breath trembled. I wanted to kiss her so badly it almost hurt. But wanting was not the same as choosing well. And I knew that. I knew it because she mattered too much to become a mistake made during a storm. So I let my hand fall. She blinked, like I had stepped away from more than her face. Ethan. If I kiss you tonight, I said, I need it to be because we both mean it. Not because Madison hurt you. Not because the power is out. Not because we can pretend the storm made us reckless. Her mouth pressed together. You think I'd regret it. I think tomorrow morning can be cruel to people who make promises in the dark. Claire looked at me for a long moment. Then she gave a soft, shaky smile. That is the most beautiful way anyone has ever rejected me. I'm not rejecting you. Feels close. It's not. I took a breath. I'm trying to make sure that when I do kiss you, I can look you in the eye after. Her expression changed at that. When? She asked. I almost smiled. You caught that? I catch a lot. I know. The air warmed between us again. But this time it felt different. Less like falling. More like standing at the edge and deciding not to lie about the view. I picked up one of the candles. Come on. You can take my room. And you. I'll take the couch. She raised an eyebrow. The chair. I corrected. The ugly one by the window. That chair looks like it has a back injury. It has character. It has a warning label in spirit. I laughed, and the sound helped me breathe again. I led her down the hall to my bedroom. It was simple. Dark wooden bed. White sheets. Navy quilt. A stack of books by the lamp. No pictures on the walls, except one old framed photo of my father and me holding a redfish down at Tybee Island. Claire stood in the doorway and looked around quietly. "This room feels lonely," she said. I set the candle on the dresser. "That bad?" "No." She touched the edge of the quilt. "Just honest again." I pulled an extra blanket from the closet and placed it at the foot of the bed. "Bathroom is yours. There are more towels under the sink." She nodded, but she did not move. "Ethan." I turned. "Can you stay a minute?" Every smart answer left my head. I should have said no. I should have gone back to the living room and let the walls do their job between us. Instead, I sat on the edge of the bed. Claire sat beside me, leaving a few careful inches of space. The candlelight moved over the walls. Outside, the storm had softened, but the rain still fell steady and thick. "I don't want to be your revenge," she said. "You're not." "I don't want to be hidden." "You won't be." "I don't want to wake up tomorrow and feel like I became something shameful." That one hurt. I turned toward her. "Claire, look at me." She did. "You are not shameful." Her eyes filled fast, but she fought the tears hard. "Madison made me feel like I was." She whispered. Anger moved through me, hot and clean. But I kept my voice gentle because Claire did not need my anger right then. She needed truth. "Madison does not get to name this," I said. "She does not get to name you either." A tear slipped down Claire's cheek. I brushed it away with my thumb before I could think. She caught my wrist softly, keeping my hand near her face. "Daylight," she said. "What?" "You said you wanted to kiss me when you could look me in the eye after." My heart kicked hard. "I did say that." "Then I can wait for daylight." I looked at her mouth. That was a mistake. Her breath caught, and mine nearly followed. "You should sleep," I said. "You should stop looking at me like that if you want me to sleep." "I'm doing my best." "Your best is not very convincing." "No," I said quietly. "It's not." For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Claire leaned her shoulder against mine. Not a kiss. Not a demand. Just a tired woman choosing to rest against me. I let myself lean back. We sat like that in the candlelight, shoulder to shoulder, while the rain wrapped the house in sound. Her hand found mine on the quilt, Slowly, carefully, her fingers slipped between mine. I held on. After a while, she rested her head against my shoulder. I meant what I said. She whispered about not taking the couch. I felt her smile against my sleeve. About staying away from what I wanted. I lifted her hand and pressed one careful kiss to her knuckles. Sleep, Claire. She looked up at me, eyes soft and dangerous. Good night, Ethan. I left before I forgot every promise I had just made. I did not sleep much in the chair. The storm faded before dawn, but my mind did not. I kept seeing her face in candlelight, hearing her say she could wait for daylight, feeling her cold fingers warming inside mine. Sometime after sunrise, I woke to the smell of coffee. At first, I thought I had dreamed it. Then I heard movement in the kitchen. I stood, my neck stiff and my back angry from the chair, and walked down the hall. Claire stood at my stove in my sweatshirt, her hair tied up messily, the morning light touching her face. She had found my coffee, my skillet, and apparently the pancake mix my niece had left in the pantry. She looked over her shoulder and smiled. Good morning, she said. I hope you like pancakes shaped like regret. I leaned against the doorway, my heart already in trouble. It's daylight, I said. Claire turned fully toward me. Her smile faded into something softer. Yes, she said. It is. The first pancake burned before either of us moved. It sat in the skillet, dark around the edges, smoking just enough to remind us that morning did not stop for feelings. Claire looked down at it, then back at me. Well, she said, that one had a hard life. I laughed, but my voice came out rough. So did the man who was supposed to be watching it. She turned off the burner and set the spatula down. The kitchen went quiet except for the soft drip of rainwater from the gutters outside. The storm had passed, but the whole world still looked washed and pale through the window. Claire stood in my kitchen in my sweatshirt, barefoot, her hair tied up badly, and all I could think was that she looked like she belonged there. That scared me more than the storm ever had. She leaned back against the counter. You look like you're about to give another noble speech. I'm trying not to. Good. I'm very tired of your honor. You liked my honor last night. I respected it, she said. That's different. I stepped closer. And now? Her eyes held mine. Now it's daylight. The words moved through me like a match striking. I raised my hand slowly. giving her every chance to step away. She didn't. She watched me like she had already decided, like she was waiting for me to catch up. My fingers touched her cheek. Warm this time. Not cold from rain. Not shaking from anger. Claire, I said. Yes. That was all I needed. I kissed her. It was not careful like the kiss I had pressed to her knuckles in the dark. It was not a mistake. It was not hidden behind thunder or candlelight. It was real. And it was morning. And her hands grabbed the front of my shirt like she had been waiting too long to be gentle. I held her face in both hands and kissed her like I had spent a year pretending I did not want this. Like every quiet look and every swallowed word had finally found a way out. She made a small sound against my mouth, and I felt it in my chest. When we pulled apart, her forehead rested against mine. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then the smoke alarm screamed. Claire jumped, then burst into laughter. Real laughter. Bright, breathless, and so beautiful it almost hurt. I reached up and hit the button on the alarm. That was either a warning, she said, or applause. Definitely applause. For you. For us. Team effort. She smiled, but it trembled at the edges. I brushed my thumb along her cheek. I meant what I said last night. Which part? All of it. But especially the part where I won't hide you. Her smile faded. That's easy to say in your kitchen, she said. I know. My family will make it ugly. I know that too. Madison will act like I planned this. Like I waited around for you. Like I wanted to hurt her. Did you? Claire's eyes flashed. No. Then we hold on to that. She looked away toward the window. Morning light touched the side of her face. I spent so long feeling guilty for things I never did. I don't know how to stop. I stepped closer and took her hand. You stop one truth at a time. She looked back at me. I squeezed her fingers. Truth one. You did not betray Madison. Her throat moved as she swallowed. Truth two. I said, I am not Madison's property. A tiny smile broke through. Truth three. You came here in a storm because you trusted me. I'm not going to punish you for that. Her eyes filled, but she nodded. Before she could answer, my phone buzzed on the counter. We both looked. Madison. The name lit up the screen like a threat. Claire went still. Her hand slipped from mine a little, but I caught it before she could pull away completely. "You don't have to answer," I said. "I know." The phone stopped. Then Claire's phone, plugged in near the toaster, started buzzing too. She closed her eyes. She knows I didn't go home. "Do you want privacy?" Claire shook her head. "No. I'm tired of being alone every time she decides I'm guilty." She picked up her phone and answered before fear could change her mind. "Claire." Madison snapped. "Where are you?" Claire looked at me. I stood close, not touching her now, but near enough for her to know I was staying. "I'm safe," she said. "That is not what I asked." "It's the answer you're getting." There was a pause. Then Madison's voice turned cold. "Are you with Ethan?" The kitchen went silent. Claire's eyes met mine. There was fear there, but something stronger too. "Yes," she said. Madison let out a sharp laugh. "Unbelievable. You couldn't even wait until after my engagement weekend." Claire's face tightened like the words hit her across the chest. I wanted to speak. I wanted to take the phone and protect her from every cruel thing coming through it. But this was not my moment to steal from her. Claire lifted her chin. "I waited for years," she said. Madison went quiet. Claire's voice shook, but she kept going. "I waited when you were with him. I waited after you ended things. I waited while you made comments and jokes and little cuts, acting like I was dirty for feelings I never acted on." "Claire, don't make yourself the victim." "I'm not. I'm telling the truth." "You showed up at his house after you told a room full of people that some women only want what belongs to someone else. You knew what I meant." "Yes," Claire said softly. "And you were wrong." The silence after that felt heavy. Then Madison said my name. "Ethan, are you there?" Claire looked at me. I nodded once. "I'm here," I said. Madison's laugh was bitter. "Of course you are. I care about your sister," I said. "You cared about me once." "I did. And I'm not going to lie about that. But we ended. You moved on. I moved on too. With my sister. With Claire," I said. "Not as revenge. Not as a secret. As Claire. Claire looked at me like those words had reached something deep inside her. Madison breathed hard through the phone. You two deserve each other. Then the call ended. Claire lowered the phone slowly and set it on the counter. Her face was pale, but her eyes were dry. Well, she said, that was awful. I opened my arms. She came to me without pretending she didn't need to. I held her against my chest, one hand in her hair, the other across her back. She shook once, then breathed out. I'm proud of you, I whispered. She pressed her cheek to my shirt. I don't feel brave. You were. I feel like I just set fire to my family. No, I said. You stopped letting them set fire to you. She looked up at me then, and the pain in her face softened into something warmer. Say that again when I forget. She whispered. I will. We made new pancakes because the first one was beyond saving. Claire sat on the counter while I cooked, even though I told her counters were not chairs. She told me rules were not romance. I told her she was trouble. She told me I had already kissed trouble, so I had lost the right to complain. By noon, the roads were clear enough to get her car. We drove to River Road in my old pickup, her hand resting in mine between us. Her car sat half in the ditch, muddy and sad, with one tire bent at an angle that made both of us wince. Well, she said, staring at it, that looks like my life made a visual aid. It's fixable. You say that about everything. I build things. It's a habit. She looked at me. Do you think this is fixable? I knew she did not mean the car. I turned toward her. The air smelled like wet grass, pine, and river mud. The sky had cleared into soft blue after a night that had tried to break everything open. Yes, I said, but not by pretending nothing happened. She nodded slowly. The tow truck arrived 20 minutes later. A man named Ray, who had known me since I was 20, looked from Claire to me, then down at her wearing my sweatshirt. His eyebrows lifted. Don't start, I warned. Ray held up both hands. I'm just here for the car. Claire smiled sweetly. Smart man. Ray grinned. I try to live. After he pulled her car free and took it toward his shop, Claire stood beside me on the muddy shoulder of the road. The wind lifted loose strands of her hair around her face. I should go home, she said. The words hit me harder than I expected. But I nodded. Okay. She looked at me. That was not an invitation to agree. I blinked. Then what was it? A test. I failed. Badly. I laughed. And she stepped closer. I don't want to run back to my apartment and sit there alone while Madison's words crawl around in my head. She said, but I also don't want to hide at your place like we did something wrong. I took her hand. Then let me take you somewhere first. Where? A real first date. She looked down at my sweatshirt and rolled up sweatpants. Ethan, I look like I lost a fight with your closet. You won. She gave me a slow smile. You really are dangerous in daylight. I'm just getting started. I took her to a small diner near the river. The kind with red booths, strong coffee, and waitresses who called everyone honey. We sat near the window while sunlight glittered on wet streets outside. Claire ordered fries and a chocolate shake because, in her words, emotional damage required salt and sugar. I ordered a burger. She stole 2 fries before my plate had fully touched the table. That's theft, I said. That's intimacy. I see. Learn quickly. Ethan. I reached across the table and took her hand. Her teasing faded. She looked down at our joined fingers, then up at me. Public. Public. People might see. Let them. Her eyes shone. You mean that? I do. For the first time since she had knocked on my door, Claire looked almost peaceful. After lunch, we walked by the river. The water was high and brown from the storm, moving fast under the bridge. She leaned against the railing, and I stood beside her. My phone is full of messages, she said. From Madison. Madison. My mother. One from my cousin that just says, wow, with 6 question marks. I smiled. Strong writing. She has range. Then Claire's smile faded. What if they never understand? I turned toward her. Then they don't. That simple. No. But it's survivable. She looked at me for a long time. And us. I stepped closer. Us is not simple either. No. But when I'm with you, I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I'm not being measured against a man I was never meant to be. Her mouth trembled. And when you look at me, I said, I don't feel like someone's leftover mistake. I feel chosen. Claire's eyes filled. You are, she whispered. Then she reached for my shirt and pulled me down to her. I kissed her by the river in full daylight, with cars passing behind us and the whole world free to look if it wanted. Her arms went around my neck. Mine held her waist. The kiss was warm and certain and a little desperate, like we were both afraid to waste another minute pretending this was not real. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against my chest. I'm scared, she said. Me too. I don't want to run. Then we don't. She looked up at me. And tonight? She asked softly. I brushed my thumb over her cheek. Tonight, I said, you come back with me only if that is what you want. Not because of the storm. Not because of Madison. Not because you have nowhere else to go. Her eyes searched mine. Why then? I smiled a little. Because I want another morning with you in my kitchen. Claire let out a shaky breath, then smiled like the sun had finally reached her. Good, she whispered. Because I'm still not taking the couch. That second night felt different from the first. The storm was gone. The roads were open. The power was back. There was no reason for Claire to stay, except the one we were finally brave enough to say out loud. She sat beside me on the living room floor with a blanket around her shoulders, and her phone turned face down on the coffee table. I had offered her the guest room again. She had looked at me like I had insulted both of us. I'm not hiding in your guest room like a scared teenager, she said. I was trying to be respectful. You are always trying to be respectful. That sounds like a complaint. It is becoming one. I smiled, but I knew what she meant. We had spent so long holding back that even kindness could start to feel like another wall. So I sat beside her, close enough that our shoulders touched, and I took her hand without asking if it was allowed. She looked down at our fingers, then leaned her head on my shoulder. That's better, she whispered. We did not rush. We did not let the night turn us reckless. We sat together while rainwater dripped from the roof outside, and the house settled around us. I felt her breathing slow against me. I felt the weight of her trust, and it scared me in the best way. After a while, she said, "Are you disappointed?" I looked down at her. In what? That I want to stay close, but I also want to go slow. I turned toward her, lifting her chin gently so she could see my face. Claire, I waited a year to kiss you in daylight. I can wait for anything that keeps this real. Her eyes softened. That was a very good answer. I build solid things. She smiled. You really do. I kissed her forehead, and she closed her eyes. The moment was quiet, warm, and simple. Maybe that was why the next words hit so hard. I think I'm falling in love with you, she said. She froze right after saying it, like the words had escaped before she could catch them. I did not let her pull away. I held her hand tighter and said the truth before fear could make me slow. I think I already did. Her eyes opened. Ethan. I know it sounds too fast. I said. I know it sounds complicated. But I think part of me started loving you long before I had the right to say it. I loved the way you saw me. I loved the way you made hard rooms feel easier. I loved that you never asked me to shrink. Tears filled her eyes. I never wanted you smaller. She whispered. I know. She touched my face with trembling fingers. I love you too. The words settled into the room softly. No thunder. No candlelit fear. No broken heel by the door. Just Claire looking at me like I was not her sister's past. Not a problem to solve. Not a scandal waiting to happen. Like I was home. The next morning, I drove her to her apartment so she could get real clothes. She packed one bag, then another, then stood in the middle of her bedroom, holding a blue sweater like it might decide her future for her. You know, I said from the doorway, I do own a washing machine. She glanced at me. This is not about laundry. This is about emotional preparation. For what? My mother. I understood that. Her mother had already called 5 times. Madison had sent long messages that Claire had not opened. Her father had left one voicemail that began with, "We need to discuss this like adults," which usually meant nobody was about to act like one. Then someone knocked on the apartment door. Claire went still. I knew from her face who it was before she opened it. Madison stood in the hallway wearing a cream coat, gold earrings, and the kind of cold expression that made every word feel rehearsed. Her eyes moved from Claire to me, then to the bag on the floor. So it's true, she said. Claire's hand tightened on the door. Yes, she said. Madison laughed once, sharp and bitter. You really couldn't wait. Claire flinched, but she did not step back. I did wait, Claire said. I waited when you were with him. I waited after you broke up. I waited even when you used my silence against me. Madison's mouth tightened. You make it sound like I did something wrong. You made me feel dirty for having feelings I never acted on. You wanted my boyfriend. I wanted Ethan, Claire said, her voice shaking. And I hated myself for it because I loved you. The hallway went quiet. Madison looked at me. And you? I stepped closer. Not in front of Claire, but beside her. I loved you once, I said. I won't pretend I didn't, but we were wrong for each other. Madison, you knew it too. Her eyes shone, but her voice stayed hard. So you just move on with my sister? No, I said. I move on with the woman who sees me clearly. That happens to be Claire. Claire looked at me, and I felt her hand slip into mine. Madison stared at our joined hands like they offended her and hurt her at the same time. My family is going to hate this, she said. Claire took a slow breath. Maybe. But I'm done living like my life needs approval before it can begin. Madison's face changed then. The anger cracked. Just for a second. And something wounded showed underneath. You never told me, she said. Claire's voice softened. You never made it safe to tell you. Madison looked down. For the first time, she seemed less like the perfect older sister and more like a woman who had lost control of the story she thought belonged to her. I need time, she said. Claire nodded. Take it. Madison turned to leave, then stopped. Don't hurt her, she said to me. I won't. You said that to me too. I took the hit because it was fair. I meant it then, I said. I mean it better now. Madison left without blessing us. But she left without breaking us. After that, the days did not become easy. Claire's mother cried on the phone, then accused, then cried again. Her father asked me to meet him for coffee and spent 20 minutes trying to understand something his pride did not want to accept. Madison stayed quiet for weeks. But Claire stayed. Not every night at first. Not in a way that made us rush or pretend the world was simple. She stayed in small ways. Her favorite mug appeared in my cabinet. A book she was reading ended up on my nightstand. A soft yellow pillow landed on my couch. And when I complained, she smiled like she had won something. You need color, she said. I need peace. You have both now. She was right. 3 months later, Madison asked Claire to lunch. Claire was nervous all morning. I drove her there and waited outside, pretending to answer work emails while watching the restaurant door like a man waiting for weather news. When Claire came out, her eyes were red, but she was smiling. She apologized, she said when she got in the truck. Really? Not perfectly, but honestly. That counts. Claire leaned across the seat and hugged me. She said she still needs time, but she doesn't hate me. I held her close. I told you it was survivable. She pulled back and looked at me. You say that like you always knew. No, I said. I just knew I'd survive it with you. By summer, my house no longer looked like only me. It looked like us. Claire planted basil by the back steps and hung blue curtains in the kitchen. She left hair ties in strange places and sang off-key while making coffee. She still stole fries from my plate and called it intimacy. I still pretended to object because it made her laugh. One evening, almost a year after the storm, rain began falling again. Soft this time, warm summer rain tapping on the roof and running down the windows. I had spent the last 2 months building a small screened porch at the back of the house. Claire said it was suspiciously romantic. She was right. That night, she sat on the porch swing with her bare feet tucked under her, wearing my old gray sweatshirt again. The same one from the storm. The faded letters across the front were almost gone now. I stood in front of her with my heart beating so hard I could feel it in my hands. She looked up. Ethan. I reached into my pocket. Her mouth parted. I knelt in front of her, holding the ring. The rain whispered around us, and the porch light turned everything gold. I don't want you to ever audition for love, I said. Not with me. Not in this house. Not in this life. I want you exactly as you are. Sharp tongue. Stolen fries. Dangerous honesty. And every brave part of you. Tears ran down her cheeks, but she was smiling. Claire Morrison, I said, will you marry me? She laughed through her tears. Only if I'm not taking the couch. I smiled so hard my face hurt. Never again. Yes. She whispered. Yes. Ethan. I slipped the ring onto her finger, and she threw her arms around my neck. I held her on that porch while the rain fell soft beyond the screens, and I kissed her like the whole road from that first storm had led us right there. Maybe love does not always come clean and simple. Sometimes it arrives soaked from the rain, wearing a ruined dress and carrying years of unsaid things. Sometimes it asks for shelter while pretending it does not need saving. Sometimes it stands in your kitchen at midnight and says the one thing that changes every rule. And sometimes, if you are brave enough to open the door, it stays.